The Honda Accord was the best-selling car in the US from 1989 to 1991, and then also again in 2001. But every other year, it always fell short to the Toyota Camry. And now in the past year, Toyota has sold almost double the amount of Camrys that Honda has Accords. And this Accord Touring is a very compelling package. So what's going on? And by the way, this is just a walk around, so if you're interested in how this thing drives, I have an in-depth test drive video that I've already posted, and I will have that linked on the screen at the end of the video. So as always, we're gonna start this review here underneath the hood. What we have here is a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder engine paired with 2 different electric motors, one being a traction motor, the other being a generator. Puts out combined 204 horsepower, 247 pound-feet of torque, and that is paired with a transmission that Honda calls an eCVT, even though it really isn't a CVT. More info on that in the test drive video. 0 to 60 is rated at right around 6.5 seconds. Total range on a full tank is up to 588 miles. This has a 1.3 kilowatt hour battery. Fuel economy ratings are combined 44 miles per gallon. That's 46 in the city, 41 on the highway, and the capacity of the fuel tank is 12.8 gallons. So people have speculated as to why sales of the Accord have dropped in recent years. This current design has been out since the 2023 model year, and it's not exactly as popular as the outgoing design. It's a lot more subdued, and a lot of people think that sales have fallen partly because of this new design. And sure, there was also the killing off of the 2-liter turbo and the introduction of this new hybrid powertrain. The Accord Hybrid used to be a completely separate model, but now all upper trim levels of the Accord are hybrid. But they've pretty much did the same hybrid thing with the Camry, so that leads me to believe it really just comes down to the design. This design is not offensive in any way whatsoever, but that might be the problem. It's very safe, but it's also not very exciting. I think it's a good-looking car, but I also think it doesn't really stand out. Like here on the front grille, a lot of people are not a fan of the way the front of the Accord looks. They think it looks like the outgoing Ford Taurus, which kinda, but it's rather plain and simple here on the front. And also the shape of the grille doesn't really match the rest of the Honda lineup. Like, it's just a little bit odd. Also, some of these plastic bits here, like here and down here, they're a little bit cheap looking. You know, the Honda Civic has something similar to this, but on their top trim level, they color matched it to the rest of the car. This is the top trim level, so they didn't do that here. The headlights, they're very slim, and I do think they look good, but they use a reflector beam LED instead of a projector beam LED, and makes it look slightly dated. You know, projector beam LEDs are where it's at, and Honda and all their new cars have been using these reflectors. So all the current Hondas pretty much have this same headlight. It's 3 separate housings within. The 2 outer housings are the low beam, and then the high beam in the middle comes on when you activate it. And then up top, we have a running light that also doubles as the turn signal. Now we have gloss black in the grille, that looks good, but down below it's all like flat black with just this little bit of glossiness at the bottom. And then we have some painted gray where that side air curtain is right there. So the front end is kind of a mixed bag. Over on the side, we have LED turn signal indicators. These are not power folding mirrors. And this is my new friend, his name is Jim. He says he's a pretty big fan of the Accord. The side profile of the Accord, I think, looks pretty good. And it also doesn't look all that different from the generation of the Accord from before it. We do have some high-end touches like gloss black here on the pillars. We got some chrome going along the top of the window trim, that looks good. And then down at the very bottom, we have some gloss black accents, not flat black, they are glossy, so that does look good. And then down here, we have a 19-inch two-tone wheel. This is exclusive to the Touring. This is riding on Michelin Radial X all-season tires, and the size is 235/40. And if we look back here more towards the rear, you can see this looks a lot more like a traditional sedan than the outgoing Accord. It is still slightly like a fastback roofline. And now back here in the rear, you can see they really simplified it in comparison to that outgoing Accord. So they went like full 180 and really simplified the back, but they added a bit of like European flair to it. Like this taillight here looks very Audi-like. They blacked out this housing to make it go all the way across in one piece, but as you can see, the light doesn't quite go all the way. You got these really bright LED turn signals, and then down below, that's where your brake lights come on, and then your reverse lights are there and there. But it is good that they finally made the Accord full LED in the rear. The outgoing had a combination, but they added some different textures here to make it look a bit more interesting. They kept the upper part of the housing red, but then down below they made it clear, and all the edges of the housing are blacked out. And on this top trim level, you do get this badging. So again, it is a clean, non-offensive looking rear end, but also nothing special. Here on this channel, the important questions that you want to know the answers to get answered. Like, how many bodies can fit in the trunk? Well, let's just see. All right, so one of me, yes. Two of me, probably. And if I lost a few, maybe three. Ugh, y'all better hit that like button. Now, as you saw when I opened it before, weighted trunk lid goes all the way up on its own. Love to see that. Now in this class, you're not gonna find any kind of power trunk lid, so you can't press a button and have it go back down, but at least you're like halfway there. So even despite this being a hybrid, there's a very generous 16.7 cubic feet of storage here in the trunk. Now unfortunately, with this being a hybrid, if you don't know, this is a tire repair kit, and when you have one of these in your car, that typically means no spare tire. Most hybrids don't come with a spare, but you can remove this piece here, and if you buy a donut spare tire as an accessory, you can put it down here. This has capless fuel, so that's the funnel to put your fuel in if you're not using a traditional gas pump. We do get a 60-40 split to fold down those second row seats for there to be a pass-through. We got a hook on both sides, and that's pretty much about it. This is a sedan after all, so you're not really gonna find too much back here, but I do think it's a pretty generous amount of space. So now we are inside the 2025 Honda Accord Hybrid Touring, and when you take a look around, it might start to make a little bit more sense why Acura discontinued the TLX. Specifically here with the interior, there's not a lot of things extra that the TLX offers that this doesn't have. I'm gonna start off in the areas where the Accord falls just a little bit short. In comparison to some of the Accord's competitors, there are a few things that are missing. Like for one, over here, as you can see, we don't have power folding mirrors. They just stay fixed. There's no button to fold them. I feel like that's become pretty common on top trim level vehicles now, but this one doesn't have it. And the reason Honda doesn't offer some of these features is because they want you to step up to the Acura. But now that the Acura is being discontinued, hopefully they'll be adding some of these features back in the future. Another area the Accord falls short is the camera system. So here we have a pretty standard backup camera, trajectory lines and distance markers. Then you get the 3 camera angles, the wide angle, the more straight angle, and the top down. And this does have rear cross traffic alert, but as you can see here on the right, no 360 camera. There are sensors that will alert you when you get too close, but no 360 camera, and it's not even available as an option. We also don't have any kind of colored ambient interior lighting. And the reason that's strange is because the way they designed this car, it almost looks like it's meant to be here, but it's not. And what I mean by that is specifically this gloss black strip right here on the dash that goes across. That looks like it's supposed to be a lighting strip, but then it's just not. And then there's another one here on the door, and then it's also on both doors in the rear. And even like this tiny little one here on this side, like that's exactly where ambient lighting would go. And the last area where the Accord falls short is the ventilated seats. Now, as you can see, we do have it. I believe you do have to step up to the Touring to get the ventilated seats. And I'll say right now, if having ventilated seats is one of the main reasons that you would buy a Touring, don't. It is currently the end of July, right in the middle of summer, and these ventilated seats here in the front row are practically useless. You can barely feel any kind of cooling coming from the seat, even on level 3. So that is unfortunate, not sure why that is, but Honda definitely needs to fix the ventilated seats here in this Accord. And I guess one last thing would be the moonroof. As you can see, this is a standard size moonroof. A panoramic is not available here on the Accord, but you can get a panoramic roof on competitors like the Camry, the K5, and the Sonata. So now with all of that stuff out of the way, let's talk about everything the Accord does do really well. A big plus in here is material quality. Material quality in the Accord is pretty good. There's lots of soft touch materials on the dash. They are all injection molded plastics, but very soft to the touch. This one has kind of a faux leather grain and a bit of a smoother one down here. Dropping down, some more soft touch plastic at the bottom, and it does have some stitching going through it. We have this one continuous air vent design that goes all the way to the passenger side, even though it is really 3 separate vents, 1, 2, and 3. And an interesting thing that Honda's doing with their current vehicles is whatever vehicle it is, they make the design of the air vent look the exact same as the insert of the front grille. So if you look at the front grille, then you look at the air vents, you can see that crisscross pattern is the exact same. And then over on the door panel, that same soft touch from the dashboard up on top. And then we have this really nice soft leatherette here covering the entire side part here of the door. Very soft to the touch, feels very luxury car-like. And then down here, we have leather on the armrest. We do have a 2-tone colorway in here, so we have the gray interior, and that is the only option available with radiant red on the exterior. And as you can see here, we have 2 memory settings for the driver's seat. Down below, it is hard plastic, but that's to be expected. An okay amount of storage in the pocket down below. Now, one minor complaint I have is over here. That is the trunk release button. It's all the way over there. Now, I have a 2016 Civic, and in my car, that button is here. Much easier to reach over here, and when you have the door closed, you gotta get down there to really get to the button. And it's good that they took the padding and brought it all the way up here on the side, because when you close the door, you know, if you want to relax here, you know, you have a soft place to rest your knee here. And they did the same on the other side, on the side of the console. And also on this interior, they did use quite a bit of gloss black plastic. So here on the door panel, going around the window switches, on the center console, we have a good amount of it. And same up here, like around the air vents and stuff. I think the piano black, it looks good when you keep up with it and maintain it, but it does accumulate dust and fingerprints pretty quickly, so it does take some work to keep it looking good. And I think most people aren't gonna do that. Now, an area where Honda did a fantastic job is with the seats. So we have these nice gray leather seats, and like I said, they are real leather. They are not leatherette. Not everyone offers real leather nowadays. These are real leather. These are very comfortable. They feel like they're straight out of an Acura. They are perforated in the middle. They are heated and ventilated, but like I said earlier, the ventilation really does not work well. Fully power adjustable for the driver and the passenger. Although here on the passenger side, there is no lumbar support. And now the steering wheel. It's the same wheel that's in all of Honda's current models. I think it's a pretty good looking wheel. Also feels very premium. The leather, again, feels like it's straight out of an Acura. There's a little bit of gloss black going around the horn button and around the buttons, but not really in any areas that you would touch. It is a manual tilting and telescoping, but at this price point, that's what you would expect. Over here on the left side, we have audio controls. We have fast forward, rewind, volume up and down. This controls the left side of the gauge display, and we have voice command. Down below, we have the button for the heat function. Now, it is the end of July, I said earlier, so I did not test that out. Over here on the right side, we have the controls for the adaptive cruise control and the lane keep assist and the right side of the gauge display. You can see here on the back of the wheel, we have paddle shifters. Now, those are only for regenerative braking. So that's not something you use while you're accelerating. It basically controls the level of regenerative braking that this can do. And there's more details on that in the test drive video. Pretty basic on the stalks. This does have rain sensing wipers, and at nighttime it has automatic high beams. Here just above the wheel, we have a 10.2-inch digital gauge cluster. And on the left side is basically your connections and your audio. So phone, AM, FM radio, USB, Bluetooth, and then your Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, and Alexa. And then on the right side is all stuff pertaining to the vehicle: power flow, range and fuel, speed and time, navigation that uses Google Maps from the Google built-in that this has, driver attention monitor, seatbelt monitor, maintenance info, safety support, settings. So yeah, and then up here we have, I believe, a 6-inch head-up display. It's got your speedometer and it has traffic sign recognition. And the main attraction of this interior is this 12.3-inch infotainment touchscreen. This system does come with Google built-in, so that gives you Google Maps, Google Assistant, and the Play Store built right in. And with the Play Store, that means you can download other third-party apps onto the system. We have Alexa built in, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. This also has Wi-Fi hotspot and connection to Honda Link. The Apple CarPlay is nice and snappy, works nice and quick. And you can make Apple CarPlay full screen, or you can have this little menu here on the right side that shows a compass, power flow, and audio. They stuck the volume knob right here. It's kind of tiny, I will say, but I mean, it works. And this has an upgraded 12-speaker Bose audio system, so let's take a listen. This system does come with a surround sound feature that I have turned off. I like to listen to music just like in its pure form. 2-channel stereo, left and right, that's it. But with the spatial audio part turned off, the balance is great, the clarity is great, and I really have no complaints about it. With the surround sound turned on, I noticed that the bass takes a bit of a hit. It sounds a lot more flat, there's less punch to it, but you can go in and manually adjust the 3 different frequency levels, so you can up the bass a little bit. Up here, we do have an auto dimming rear view mirror, but it is not digital, but in this class, you won't really find that. I'm glad that Honda has kept physical AC controls. I don't like when they're embedded in the screen and you gotta go looking for them. And also these knobs that they use, I mean, just listen to that. Very clicky, very tactile. They just sound solid. Now let's talk about connection. So as you can see, we have a wireless charger. It has worked pretty good. I haven't really had any issues with it. 2 USB-C ports. Inside the center console, we have a 12 volt, and the inside of the center console for a sedan is actually pretty big, so that's good. And then inside the glove box, it is damped, folds down nice and smooth. Not the biggest, I think it's a little bit on the small side. And now back to the console, you can see we have a traditional transmission selector. On the outgoing Accord, we had a push button, and I guess people didn't really like it, so Honda went back to the old school shifter. It's got leather on the boot with some stitching, that feels nice. Down here we have some more buttons. You have your drive mode selector. Pretty simple on the drive modes, just for individual, sport, normal, and econ. And when you go into individual, you can customize the powertrain, basically your acceleration, your steering, adaptive cruise control, and your gauges. This button here is to put it in full EV mode, which it does spend a good amount of its time in full EV. I go more in depth about the way the hybrid system works in the test drive video. Then your electronic parking brake and brake hold. And so now I'm in the back seat right behind where I'd have the driver's seat adjusted for myself, being 6 feet tall. And as you can see, I have maybe about 6 inches of legroom to spare. So great space in the back seat. And over on the door panel, I'm happy to report they did not cheap out in the back. All the same materials, the leatherette here, the soft touch here, and as you can see here, we have heated seats on the 2 outer seats here in the back seat. 3 stages. Now they took the leather on the seats and made it wrap all the way around, which is really nice, but we don't have a pocket here on the driver's side. It's only here on the passenger side, so that's a little disappointing. Down here in the middle, we do get air vents in the back seat. That is a good thing, and 2 USB-C ports. And then here, folding down the armrest, very soft. Could use that as a pillow, honestly, and 2 cup holders. The MSRP of this fully loaded 2025 Honda Accord Touring Hybrid with all its options is $40,395. A huge thank you to Honda for sending me this Accord to keep for an entire week so that I can give you guys the most thorough review possible. Let me know your thoughts on the Accord Hybrid Touring down in the comments. If you enjoyed this video, please share with a friend and subscribe. It'll really help the channel grow. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss any new videos, and be sure to follow @OpticalAutomotive on TikTok and Instagram, and check out the page on Facebook. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys later.